Night falls over Northern California. A lone payphone rings. On the other end is a voice, cold, monotonous, unnervingly calm. I want to report a murder. These were the chilling opening words of the man who would come to call himself Zodiac. Over the next year, he would terrorize the Bay Area not just with violence, but with taunting letters, cryptic ciphers, and an ego so vast it demanded attention. He claimed dozens of victims, but to this day his identity remains unconfirmed. Tonight, we dive deep into the Zodiac Killer story, who he may have been, how he communicated, what we know, and what remains an unsettling mystery. To this day, no one knows who the Zodiac Killer truly was. He never revealed his name, and no one was ever charged. Investigators and amateur sleuths alike have chased leads for decades. But the case remains open. The moniker Zodiac comes directly from his letters. In a letter to the press in August 1969, he wrote, "This is the Zodiac speaking." His symbol, a circle with a cross through it, became his signature, stamped on correspondence and crime scenes, and seared into the public consciousness. Over the years, many suspects have been named. One of the most prominent is Arthur Lee Allen, a man who lived in Vallejo, was interested in codes, and was publicly named by investigators. Allen was never formally charged. He died in 1992. Others have been proposed, but none definitively proven. 1. Lake Herman Road, December 20, 1968. The first confirmed victims were Betty Lou Jensen, 16, and David Arthur Faraday, 17. They were parked in a remote Lover's Lane turnout on Lake Herman Road, just inside Benicia, when shots rang out. Faraday was shot once in the head, killed at close range. Jensen, trying to flee, was struck 5 times in the back, her body falling some meters from the car. Investigators found 10 spent shell casings at the scene. Some bullets were unaccounted for, indicating possible warning shots or missed fire. The crime was discovered by a motorist, Stella Borges, who called police soon after. This was the beginning. 2. Vallejo attack, July 4, 1969. On Independence Day, Darlene Ferrin, 22, and Michael Michaud, 19, sat in her car at Blue Rock Springs Park in Vallejo. The Zodiac struck. He drew a gun and fired. Darlene Ferrin was mortally wounded and later died in hospital. Michael Michaud survived his wounds, though he was shot in the jaw, shoulder, and leg. After the attack, a man called Vallejo police from a payphone, claiming responsibility. "If you will go 1 mile east on Columbus Parkway, you will find kids in a brown car. They were shot." This call confirmed the link between the shootings and the letters soon to come. 3. Lake Berryessa, September 27, 1969. This attack was different. Not a drive-by, but a calculated close-quarters terror. The Zodiac approached Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard, who were picnicking on a sand spit at Lake Berryessa. He was wearing a black hood executioner style, with clip-on sunglasses and a bib, displaying his cross-circle symbol. He told them he was an escaped convict from Deer Lodge, Montana, claiming he'd killed a guard and stolen a car. He bound both of them with pre-cut plastic clothesline. When Hartnell was too loosely tied, he tightened the bonds. Then suddenly he drew a knife and attacked both. He stabbed Hartnell again and again. Shepard was stabbed repeatedly. Hartnell survived, though he sustained 8 stab wounds to his back. Shepard tragically died 2 days later. On the car door, investigators later discovered a message scratched in. The killer had inscribed the dates of the attacks. A call claiming responsibility was traced to a phone at a car wash. Unfortunately, although fingerprints were lifted, none matched known suspects. For Presidio Heights, San Francisco, October 11, 1969. The final confirmed Zodiac murder was the killing of taxi driver Paul Lee Stein. On that night, Stein picked up a passenger around 9:40 p.m. at Geary and Mason Streets. He was driven to Washington and Maple Streets in Presidio Heights, then, strangely, 1 block further to Washington and Cherry. At about 9:55 p.m., the passenger shot him in the head with a 9mm handgun, killing him instantly. The killer exited the cab, cut off a bloody portion of Stein's shirt, and wiped down the interior, presumably to remove fingerprints. 3 teenagers across the street witnessed parts of this crime and described the man, but a dispatcher mistakenly broadcast that the suspect was black, so responding officers passed him by. 2 days later, the Zodiac sent a letter to the San Francisco Chronicle with a piece of Stein's bloodied shirt enclosed, perhaps the most haunting and iconic dimension of the Zodiac case is his use of cryptography. He didn't just kill, he taunted, he played, he challenged. He sent for distinct cipher messages over his correspondence. Z408 for 08 character cipher. This was broken very quickly by Donald and Betty Hardin, a school teacher and his wife. Their solution revealed chilling talk of collecting slaves for the afterlife and his pleasure in killing, but most importantly, no identifying name, just his twisted philosophy, Z343 for O character. Cipher, sent November 8, 1969, it remained unsolved for 51 years. In December 2020, an international team cracked it. David Oranchak, USA, Sam Blake, Australia, and Jarl van Eyck, Belgium used a computer algorithm running hundreds of thousands of permutations. The decoded message reads in part, I hope you are having lots of fun in trying to catch me. I am not afraid of the gas chamber, because it will send me to paradise all the sooner. He continued, I now have enough slaves to work for me where everyone else has nothing when they reach paradise. The spelling errors, paradise, the ego, the delusional theology, it's a grotesque window into his psyche. Z13 cipher, only 13 symbols, short. This one remains unsolved. In some letters it is prefaced with, My name is, but investigators have never confirmed a real name inside. Z32 cipher, 32 characters, also unsolved. Some theories suggest the cipher relates to a map, but nothing conclusive has emerged. These codes were not just puzzles. They were performances a way for the Zodiac to control public attention and taunt law enforcement with each solved line. Beyond the ciphers, the Zodiac sent numerous letters. They brimmed with bravado, threats, and cryptic self-mythologizing. In his early letters, July-August 1969, he demanded newspapers publish his cipher or else he would kill again. In one of his October 1969 letters following the Polstein murder, he included the bloody shirt fragment, a gruesome statement that the crime was indeed his. He threatened mass violence in one letter. He drew a diagram of a bomb that he claimed could blow up a school bus full of children. His language was chilling. He portrayed himself not just as a killer, but as a prophet of death, speaking of slaves in paradise, making new life through violence, from his 340 cipher solution. Yet despite all his claims, no confession letter ever revealed his real identity. Even after the 340 was solved, he did not give a name. Arthur Lee Allen, a former teacher and child molester, remains one of the most scrutinized suspects. Witnesses claimed he matched certain descriptions. Michael Majo, a survivor, later identified him from a photo lineup. Investigators noted he owned a Zodiac Wolf wristwatch, bearing a symbol similar to Zodiac's cross circle. But despite intense scrutiny, no definitive forensic proof has ever tied him to the Zodiac's letters or fingerprints. Other theories over the years, many alternative suspects have emerged. Some are law enforcement backed. Others are from amateur case-breaker teams, but none has been universally accepted. Some researchers argue that his killings stopped not because he died or was arrested, but because he no longer craved the spotlight, or perhaps wanted to retire from the game he created. Here are 3 lesser-known, but factual elements of the Zodiac. Case that often escape popular retellings. Door message at Lake Berryessa. After the Berryessa attack, the Zodiac carved a message onto the victim's car door. Document examiners later determined that the handwriting matches letters he sent to the press. Payphone calls leave fingerprint evidence. At least one of the calls to report his murders was traced back to a payphone, and fresh fingerprints were lifted, though they never matched a known suspect. Unusually cold crime scene on the night of the Lake Herman Road murders. Temperatures dropped to around -5 C22F. This freezing cold may have contributed to the lack of useful physical traces like footprints, making investigation harder. Also, the location, a double-gated turnout inside a pumping station's perimeter, is often misremembered in media but matters for forensics and jurisdiction. Despite decades of fascination, some of the Zodiac's deepest mysteries remain. Identity unknown. We still do not know who he was. No confirmed DNA, no name, incomplete ciphers. 2 of his 4 ciphers, Z13, Z32, remain unsolved. If deciphered, they could hold secrets or just more taunts. Motivation ambiguous. Was he driven by fame? A pathological need for attention? Or did he truly believe in a twisted ideology, as his letters suggest? Victim count disputed. He claimed dozens of victims, up to 37 in his letters, but only 5 are officially confirmed. Cold case status. The FBI and local law enforcement still list the case as open. New theories. As recently as 2021, a team called the Case Breakers claimed a suspect Gary Francis post based on cipher anagrams and photographic comparison, but their theory has not been universally accepted. Now I want to ask you, what do you believe is the most likely identity of the Zodiac Killer, and why? Do you think the unsolved ciphers Z13, Z32 could ever reveal his name? Or were they just another taunt? In your view, was Zodiac's crime spree more about killing or about showmanship and attention? Leave your theories in the comments. Share any books, articles, or documents that influenced you. Let's keep investigating together. The Zodiac Killer is more than a legend. He was a real person or people who caused real terror and who left a chilling, cryptic trail. His ciphers, his letters, his violence, they remain a grim puzzle. But each victim was not just a number. Betty Lou and David, Darlene, Cecilia, Paul, their lives ended abruptly, their memories. Endure, their stories demand our awareness. Until next time we are case closed. Stay aware, stay safe, and remember, every life, no matter how short, leaves an imprint.